Hey everyone, and welcome back to Talk Tickers. Today we are going to be going deep on Cloudflare's Q4 2024 earnings call.
It was a really exciting one.
Oh yeah, this is a company that's doing a lot of really interesting things, and this call was just packed with information. And I think, we could probably do like 3 hours on this, but
Easily.
we're going to try to keep it, somewhat concise for you all. But yeah, there's a lot to unpack, so
There is.
let's just jump right into it.
Yeah.
So to start, for those of you who maybe just want the quick headlines, Cloudflare, they absolutely crushed their Q4.
Yeah.
We are talking about a 27% year-over-year revenue surge, landing them at almost $460 million,
Huge.
which is just incredible. And not only that, but they also snagged a record-breaking number of large customers. So we're talking those customers that are spending over $100,000 a year with Cloudflare. They now have 3,497 of them.
Yeah. And it's one thing to just bring in new clients, right? But you also have to keep the existing ones happy and spending more money. And they did that too. The dollar-based net retention rate ticked up to 111%. So that tells you that businesses aren't just, dipping their toes in the water with Cloudflare. They're jumping in.
Yeah, they're really going all in.
They are.
And I think that says a lot about the strength of their platform and the value that they're delivering.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, from your perspective, what do you think is really driving that customer loyalty?
So I think there's a couple things. First off, we can't ignore the economic uncertainty that was a big theme throughout all of 2024. But despite that, Cloudflare saw this surge in deals closing towards the end of Q4. And I think that tells you that businesses are realizing that you can't cut corners when it comes to things like security, AI modernization, and just overall efficiency. And Cloudflare's a leader in all of those areas.
Right. And so it seems like they've kind of positioned themselves perfectly to benefit from this trend that's only going to become more and more important as we move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, companies need those solutions, and Cloudflare is ready to provide them.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And then, another thing that really stood out to me was the strength of their sales team. I mean, they've achieved 5 consecutive quarters of double-digit sales productivity increases.
That's wild.
Which is just incredible. It's not luck. That's like a well-oiled machine.
It is a well-oiled machine, and they're investing in that machine, right? 80% of their 2025 sales plan is already assigned to their existing account execs. So they don't have to scramble for new hires or anything like that. It's just, they're growing their team organically.
Yeah, which is a good sign. I mean, it shows confidence in the people that they have and a commitment to, nurturing that talent.
Right.
So I'm curious in terms of, the customer wins this quarter. What really jumped out at you?
Oh, there's some big ones. They landed a Fortune 100 tech giant on a 5-year, $20 million deal. This is the largest deal in Cloudflare's history, and it covers their entire suite of products. So this customer is going all in on Cloudflare, which again shows the confidence that these massive companies have in Cloudflare's ability to handle their most critical infrastructure.
Yeah, I can only imagine the celebrations when they closed that deal. But it wasn't just about this one big win, right?
No, they also scored deals with a leading AI company, a major global retailer, and even a Global 2000 aviation group.
Wow.
And I think these wins really highlight Cloudflare's ability to kind of displace those incumbents in the market and win over a really diverse range of customers with their unified and agile platform.
Yeah, it's almost like they're not just playing the game, they're changing the rules.
They are.
And, speaking of changing the rules, one of the things that I thought was really interesting from this call was what they were doing in the AI space in particular. Their serverless platform Workers is becoming kind of this game changer for AI applications, particularly in the area of agents, which is a term that we hear a lot these days. But I think it's worth breaking down for our listeners who might not be super familiar with what that actually means in this context. So, when we talk about agents in the context of AI, what are we really talking about?
Yeah, I think a good way to think about it is like a digital assistant on steroids. So it can automate complex tasks, make decisions based on data, interact with other systems. It's almost like having a team of these super efficient employees that never sleep and can handle a massive amount of work.
So you're saying it's not just some futuristic concept, like this is real tangible applications of AI happening right now on Cloudflare's platform.
Absolutely. It's happening right now. And they're seeing these agents being used across industries, everything from finance and medicine to customer support and marketing. And the reason Workers is such a great platform for this is because of its focus on efficiency.
That brings up a point that I was curious about because Cloudflare keeps talking about efficiency and AI, But I think it's helpful to like really break down what that means in practical terms. Like, how does that actually benefit their customers?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and it goes to the heart of why Cloudflare is so well positioned in the AI space. Their system is set up in a way that customers only pay for the processing power that they actually use. And this is a huge deal because with a lot of traditional AI models, you're essentially paying for idle resources even when you're not using them.
Right. So it's like paying for a hotel room that you never actually sleep in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Cloudflare is helping companies avoid that wasted expense, and it makes AI more accessible even for those who might not have these massive budgets to work with.
Right. So they're democratizing AI in a sense.
Yeah, and they're not just making it more accessible, they're making it more cost effective.
Right.
So we're talking about 70% GPU utilization, which is incredible compared to the single-digit averages you see with other models. And that translates into real cost savings for their customers.
Yeah. That's significant.
It is.
So they're doing a lot of exciting things in the AI space. But, from what I gathered from the call, it seems like they're not content with just being like an infrastructure provider. They have this much bigger vision for the role of AI in the future of the internet as a whole.
Yeah, you're right. They're not just building tools, they're trying to shape the whole landscape. They see themselves as a critical link between the AI companies that are creating these powerful models and the content creators who are going to be using them.
That's fascinating. So what are they doing to try and shape that future? What do they say about their vision?
Well, they're having a lot of conversations with those key players on both sides of the equation, right? They're trying to figure out how content creators will be compensated in an AI-driven world, what role these agents are going to play, and ultimately how to ensure that this new internet benefits everybody, not just a select few.
Right.
They're thinking really long-term here, and that's what I think is so exciting.
Yeah, it's about, creating a more equitable and accessible future for everyone.
Exactly.
So it sounds like they're really thinking big picture.
They are.
But let's not forget that all of this innovation and all of this growth is built on a very solid financial foundation. And they had some really impressive numbers to share this quarter.
It did.
I was actually surprised by how much their gross margin held up, even with all of the investments that they're making.
Yeah.
It came in at 77.6%. Which is comfortably above their long-term target.
Yeah, which is key, right? They're not just growing for the sake of growth. They're doing it in a way that is sustainable and that will ultimately benefit investors in the long run. And speaking of investors, their free cash flow for the quarter was $47.8 million with a whopping $166.9 million for the year. So they're demonstrating that they can deliver that strong top-line growth, but also bottom-line profitability as well.
Yeah, so they're firing on all cylinders, both operationally and financially.
Yeah.
And did they give any specific examples of how they're actually driving that efficiency and productivity?
Yeah, they did. So they mentioned a noticeable increase in close rates and shorter sales cycles, particularly in the US,
Okay.
which suggests that customers are making decisions more quickly and that Cloudflare is becoming the go-to choice for a lot of them.
Makes sense.
And they also highlighted that they crossed a major milestone with 3 million active developers on their platform,
Wow.
which includes developers that are working with Cloudflare workers and their new workers' AI tools.
3 million developers. That's a massive community.
It is.
And it speaks volumes about the strength of their developer ecosystem.
Yeah, it's kind of like the self-reinforcing cycle where more developers attract more customers and more customers attract more developers.
Yeah, they feed off of each other.
They do.
And that community is only going to grow stronger as they continue to roll out new products and features, particularly in the AI space.
Absolutely.
So speaking of those products and features, I want to dive into some of the specifics of these customer wins because we talked about, these massive deals that they landed. Let's start with that Fortune 100 tech giant. What were the details on that one again?
All right, so this was a 5-year contract worth $20 million.
Wow.
And it covers all of Cloudflare's products, so it gives the customer the seamless access to their entire platform.
Okay.
And this wasn't just any customer. This was the largest new customer win in Cloudflare's history.
So they're really, making a statement with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it shows the level of confidence that large enterprises are placing in Cloudflare to handle their most demanding needs.
What were some of the initial use cases that they highlighted for this customer?
So they mentioned things like application security and performance, as well as leveraging the workers developer platform. It sounds like they're really looking to modernize their infrastructure and build new applications in a more secure and agile and cost-effective way.
And Cloudflare is the perfect partner for them.
Absolutely.
And then you mentioned they also scored this big win with a leading AI company.
Right.
What can you tell us about that deal?
Yeah, so this one was a 1-year contract worth $13.5 million, and it was structured as a pool of funds agreement.
You keep mentioning these pool of funds contracts, but we haven't really explained what they are for our listeners. So can you just break that down
Ah,
quickly?
yeah, of course. So imagine you have this bucket of credits that you can use to purchase any of Cloudflare's services. So that's essentially what a pool of funds contract is. It gives customers a lot of flexibility to experiment with different products and scale their usage as needed, all within this predetermined budget.
Okay.
And it also encourages a deeper engagement with Cloudflare's platform because you've got these credits, you're incentivized to use them.
Yeah, you want to get your money's worth.
Exactly.
So it seems like a win-win for both Cloudflare and their customers.
Yeah, for sure.
And so going back to that AI company deal, it seemed like they were particularly interested in the scalability and the accelerated innovation that Cloudflare's platform offers.
Right. And I think that makes sense. They're in a fast-moving industry.
Yeah,
They need a partner that can keep up with their pace.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Cloudflare is becoming the go-to platform for these companies that are really pushing the boundaries of technology.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And that's reflected in their next big win, which was with a leading global retailer.
Oh, yeah. What can you tell us about that one?
So this was a 3-year deal worth $10.8 million, and it covers a whole range of products, including application services, workers, their R2 storage solution, and their Magic Firewall and Magic Transit security products. So this retailer is really looking to scale their online experience, which is growing rapidly.
And Cloudflare is unified, offering their global network and their innovative developer platform, especially with the addition of Workers AI, were clearly the deciding factors in this win.
They were, and you know what? They actually displaced a 20-year incumbent in this deal,
Wow.
which speaks volumes about the disruption that Cloudflare is bringing to the market.
Yeah, they're not afraid to go head-to-head with the big guys.
They are not.
Um, what else caught your eye in terms of customer wins?
So there was a major U.S. investment firm that expanded their relationship with Cloudflare by signing a 3-year, $4 million contract for their Secure Access Service Edge, or SaaS, solution.
Okay.
And this customer was apparently really unhappy with their existing Zero Trust provider, and they chose Cloudflare because of the superior network performance and their ability to deliver a complete SaaS solution from a single vendor.
So again, it's that unified platform approach that seems to be really resonating with customers.
Yeah, they don't want to have to piece together solutions from multiple vendors. They want that seamless, integrated experience.
Makes sense. What else?
There was a Global 2000 aviation group that signed a 5-year, $9.4 million contract covering Cloudflare's full suite of application security and performance products. And this was another example of a company that was really embracing a cloud-first operating model
Right.
to enhance agility and cost efficiency. And they chose Cloudflare after a really rigorous evaluation process that involved over a dozen vendors.
Yeah. So they really did their homework.
It did.
And it sounds like what really stood out to them was Cloudflare's ability to, drive modernization, the user friendliness and flexibility of their products, and then also their strong track record of delivering a solid ROI.
Yeah, all of those things came up.
Okay.
Let's see, there was also a Global 2000 financial institution that signed a 4-year, $13.6 million contract to accelerate their digital transformation and gain more control over their security.
Okay.
And they were particularly frustrated with the slow provisioning times of their previous provider.
I can imagine that's a big pain point.
It is.
Yeah.
And they were really impressed by Cloudflare's ability to spin up a new website in just 10 minutes compared to the 14 weeks it took with their old solution.
That's night and day. Yeah, I can definitely see why they made the switch. Any other notable wins before we move on?
Yeah, there was a rapidly growing tech company that expanded their use of Cloudflare calls.
Okay.
So they signed a 2-year, $1 million contract. And Cloudflare Calls is a newer product in their developer platform that allows companies to build real-time audio and video applications.
Okay, so it's kind of like a competitor to Twilio or something like that.
Yeah, very similar.
Okay.
And then they also secured a 3-year, $6.1 million contract with a major international financial institution that was looking to migrate away from a hyperscaler and embrace a multi-cloud architecture.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so they needed a partner that could provide best-in-class security, rock-solid uptime, and the ability to scale and automate their operations globally.
Okay.
And Cloudflare fit the bill.
So it's clear that they're attracting a wide range of customers across various industries
They are.
for a diverse set of use cases.
And it seems like, they're winning on technology, they're winning on customer experience, and they're winning on their ability to deliver a strong ROI. it's hard to find a weakness in their story right now.
I agree. They're firing on all cylinders.
Oh.
But I think the most exciting part of their story is what they're doing in this rapidly evolving world of AI.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So they've identified 4 distinct opportunities in this space, and each one, I think, has the potential to be truly transformative.
All right, let's break down those opportunities. So the first one they talked about was how they're using AI internally.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about that?
So they're using AI systems to improve their own internal business processes, much like a lot of other companies are doing right now.
Okay.
Things like automating tasks, improving efficiency, making better decisions based on data.
Yeah, AI is great for that.
It is.
And what I thought was interesting is that they're even finding ways to build some of these AI functions on their own infrastructure.
Yeah. Which reduces their reliance on those external providers.
Yeah.
And potentially saves them money in the long run.
It does, and it also gives them more control over their data and their technology stack.
Right.
Which strategically is a very smart move.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's not just about using AI internally, right? They're also using it to enhance their products.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the second opportunity they identified, is using AI to make their products even better, particularly when it comes to performance and security.
And it's not like this is a new thing for Cloudflare.
Right.
I mean, they've always been an AI-driven company at their core.
Right.
Their machine learning-based security systems have been analyzing vast amounts of internet traffic for years to identify and mitigate threats.
Yeah, it's like having this incredibly intelligent security guard constantly monitoring your network.
And constantly learning and adapting. Like those systems are regularly discovering new threats that humans haven't even identified yet.
That's right.
Which is pretty amazing.
It is.
But the third opportunity, and this is where I think things get really interesting, is how Cloudflare serverless platform workers is emerging as the ideal platform for building AI applications, particularly those that are using agents.
Right.
Which we talked about earlier.
We did.
So why is Worker such a great platform for building and running these agents?
So a couple of reasons. One, Worker serverless architecture means that developers only pay for the resources that they use.
Okay.
Which makes it incredibly cost-effective for running AI inference tasks and building these complex agentic workflows.
So it's like having this on-demand AI engine
Exactly.
that you only pay for when you need it.
Right. And that's a huge advantage, especially for, startups and smaller businesses that might not have a ton of upfront capital.
Right. So again, they're democratizing access to these powerful tools.
Yeah, for sure. And like we talked about earlier, they're seeing this surge in use cases for these agents across a wide range of industries.
Yeah, it really feels like agents are going to be everywhere soon.
I think so too.
And then the fourth opportunity, which is even more mind-blowing, is this idea that they're not just building tools or even a platform.
Right.
They're playing a key role in shaping the entire business model of the future internet.
Yeah.
One where AI is deeply integrated at every level.
Yeah. And they're in a unique position to do this.
They are.
They have relationships with both the AI companies and the content creators.
Right.
Which gives them this unique perspective and this influence over how this all plays out.
It's almost like they're helping to build the future.
They are.
And it sounds like they're not just thinking about the technology, they're thinking about the societal implications.
Yeah.
The economic implications.
Yeah, it's really big picture thinking, and they're trying to create a future where AI benefits everyone.
Yeah, I think that's really important to keep in mind as we move forward with all of this.
It is. So let's shift gears a little bit and dive into the actual, financial performance here. Their CFO, Thomas Seifert, did a great job of walking through the numbers, and it's clear that they're really pleased with how things are going.
Yeah, and you can tell from the tone of the call. I mean, there was a lot of excitement there. And it seems like, their go-to-market transformation efforts are really starting to pay off.
Yeah, they are. So what were some of those key drivers of that Q4 success? Was it just the big customer wins, or was there more to it than that?
I think it was a combination of factors. Obviously, those large customer wins were a big contributor, but they also saw really strong growth in their $1 million plus customer segment. They had continued traction with those pool of funds contracts that we talked about earlier.
Right.
Sustained momentum with their workers developer platform. And of course, customers are continuing to prioritize security. So it's really kind of a multi-pronged approach that's working for them.
Yeah, they're executing well on all fronts, and the numbers really reflect that. So let's talk about some of those numbers. So they saw a noticeable increase in close rates,
Good.
an improvement in sales cycles, and record productivity in both their EMEA and APAC regions.
Wow.
So it seems like their sales team is firing on all cylinders.
They are.
Yeah.
And it's not just, the existing sales team. They're continuing to invest in that sales organization by hiring, experienced enterprise account executives.
Right.
And they're also seeing continued improvement in the number of ramped account executives, which, bodes well for future growth.
It does. So let's break down some of those specific revenue and customer growth numbers.
Okay.
So Q4 revenue was just shy of $460 million, a 27% increase year over year.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It is.
And their customer base continues to expand. They now have around 237,700 paying customers, representing a record addition of almost 48,000 paying customers in 2024.
Yeah, and their large customer segment, those that are spending over $100,000 per year, that's growing even faster.
Which makes sense, right? I mean, that's where they're really focusing their efforts.
They added over 740 large customers in 2024, a 27% increase year over year, and a record 232 of those came in Q4 alone.
Yeah, those are some serious growth numbers.
They are.
So it sounds like their focus on those large customers is really paying off.
It is, and those large customers are contributing a growing share of their revenue. So in Q4, revenue from large customers climbed to 69%, up from 66% in the same quarter last year.
Okay, so that's a significant jump.
It is.
But, it's one thing to attract new customers, but it's another to keep your existing customers happy and spending more.
Right, and they're doing that too.
They are.
Their dollar-based net retention was 111% in Q4, which is a very healthy number.
Yeah, that's really good.
It is, and it's driven by a few things. Their relentless focus on delivering value, their constantly expanding product portfolio, and their commitment to customer success.
Right, so it's really a combination of factors that are creating this loyal and growing customer base.
It is.
Now let's talk about their gross margin. It came in at 77.6% in Q4, which was slightly down from the previous quarter. What caused that dip?
So that was mainly due to a higher percentage of paid versus free customer traffic, which led to a higher allocation of expenses to the cost of goods sold. So it's more of a technical accounting issue than a fundamental change in their business model.
Okay.
The underlying economics of their network are still very strong.
That's good to hear. And, speaking of the network, they're clearly investing heavily in it to support, future expansion, especially in the area of AI.
Right. Their network capital expenditures, or CapEx as it's often called, were 10% of revenue for the full year 2024. And they're planning to increase that investment in 2025 to between 12% and 13% of revenue.
Okay.
And this is largely driven by that rapid shift that they're seeing from AI training to AI inference. So they're provisioning more capacity to support that growing demand for AI inference workloads.
Which makes sense given how quickly that market has expanded.
Yeah, they're staying ahead of the curve.
They are.
So now let's look at their operating expenses. As a percentage of revenue, they decreased by 5% year over year to 63% in Q4. So pretty impressive improvement there.
Yeah, that is impressive. What's driving that improved efficiency?
So they're really laser focused on driving higher productivity and greater efficiency across their operations,
Right.
streamlining processes, automating tasks, and just making sure that they're getting the most out of their resources. And while they are growing their team, they're doing it at a measured pace. So their total number of employees increased by 16% year over year, bringing their headcount to around 4,300 at the end of Q4.
Okay, so it sounds like they're striking a good balance between investing in growth and, maintaining profitability.
They are.
So let's talk about that profitability. What were their operating income and margin numbers like?
So their Q4 operating income was $67.2 million, a 69% increase year over year. And this was driven by that combination of strong revenue growth and their focus on operational efficiency. Their operating margin also expanded to 14.6% in Q4, an increase of 360 basis points year over year.
So again, they're demonstrating that they can deliver both growth and profitability.
They are, which is what investors like to see.
Exactly. Now let's move on to their net income and balance sheet.
Okay.
What do those numbers look like?
So their Q4 net income was $68.8 million, or a diluted net income per share of $0.19 down.
Okay.
Their non-GAAP effective tax rate was a bit higher than expected in Q4, coming in at 25% compared to their guidance of 16%.
Oh, interesting. What caused that?
So that was due to certain tax elections that they made during the quarter, which will actually mitigate cash liabilities in future years. So it's kind of a one-time impact that won't affect their long-term profitability.
Okay, so nothing to be too concerned about.
No.
And then how did they end the quarter in terms of their cash position?
So they ended Q4 with $1.86 billion in cash equivalents and available for sale securities.
Okay, so that's a healthy cash balance.
Gives them a lot of flexibility to invest in growth and weather any potential economic storms.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then they also generated, strong free cash flow, as we mentioned earlier, $47.8 million in Q4, 10% of revenue.
Right. And the remaining performance obligations, or RPO, came in at $1.687 billion, a 36% increase year over year.
Wow, that RPO number is really encouraging.
It is. It's a result of their strong bookings performance and the growing duration of their contracts. So it really points to strong revenue growth in the future.
Yeah, that's a good leading indicator.
It is.
So let's get to what everyone's waiting for guidance. Yeah. What are they expecting for Q1 and the full year 2025?
All right, so they're projecting Q1 revenue to be between $468 million and $469 million.
Okay, so that represents a 24% year-over-year increase. Not too shabby.
Not bad at all. And for the full year 2025, they're expecting revenue to be between $2.090 billion and $2.094 billion.
Okay.
Which is a 25% year-over-year increase. So they're clearly confident in their ability to continue delivering strong growth.
They are. And it sounds like they're not just focused on growth, they're also committed to profitability.
They are. So they're projecting Q1 operating income to be in the range of $54 million to $55 million. And for the full year 2025, they're expecting operating income to be between $272 million and $276 million.
All right, so those are some impressive numbers.
They are.
It shows that they're committed to balancing growth and profitability, which again is what investors want to see.
Right. What about their earnings per share projections?
Oh, yeah. What are they expecting there?
So they're expecting Q1 diluted net income per share of $0.16. And for the full year, 2025, they're projecting diluted net income per share to be between $0.79 and $0.80.
So overall, very strong numbers. It's clear that Cloudflare is executing well, delivering value to both their customers and their shareholders, and they're well positioned to capitalize on this growing demand for security AI and cloud services. So let's dive into the Q&A portion of the call and see what analysts were most curious about.
All right, sounds good. So the first question came from Hamza Fodderwala of Morgan Stanley, and he was particularly interested in the potential impact of DeepSeek. Yeah, so for those who aren't familiar, DeepSeek is a Chinese AI company that has been making headlines lately with their efficient AI training model. So Hamza wanted to know, what's Cloudflare's take on this technology and how might it impact the market?
That's a good question. I mean, DeepSeek has been generating a lot of buzz lately.
Yeah, they have.
So what did Cloudflare have to say?
Well, they acknowledge that there's definitely a lot of excitement around DeepSeek, but they emphasize that, the real key takeaways here are the underlying research and optimizations that they were able to achieve.
Okay.
And they believe that AI models will eventually become commoditized and open.
Makes sense.
Which actually aligns with Cloudflare's strategy of, providing a platform for a wide range of models rather than focusing on any one specific model.
So they're not really viewing DeepSeek as a threat.
No, they're not. They're viewing it more as validation of their platform approach.
Okay.
And, they also highlighted DeepSeek's focus on efficiency, which, again, aligns perfectly with Cloudflare's own commitment to delivering cost-effective AI solutions.
Right, it's like they're ahead of the curve.
They are.
In terms of anticipating what's going to be important in the AI space.
They are. And they also pointed out that DeepSeek's breakthroughs demonstrate that there's still a lot of room for innovation in AI, particularly when it comes to inference.
Which Cloudflare believes is actually a bigger opportunity than training.
Yeah, they do.
So it's a fascinating space to watch, for sure.
It is.
So what was the next question?
So the next one came from Matt Hedberg of RBC, and he was curious about Cloudflare's product innovation plans for 2025. So what new and exciting things can we expect to see from them in the coming year?
Yeah, that's the question on everyone's mind. Innovation is what drives this industry.
It is. So in their response, they really emphasize their focus on becoming world-class in go-to-market execution.
Okay.
And their new product and engineering leader, CJ, is known for his very customer-centric approach.
Yeah.
And he's really driving this initiative. It's all about making sure that they're building the right products and getting them into the hands of the right customers in the most efficient way possible.
Yeah, having a strong go-to-market strategy is essential.
It is.
For any tech company, especially one that's growing as rapidly as Cloudflare.
Yeah, for sure.
Did they highlight any specific products or areas of focus?
So they highlighted the growing number of real-world use cases that they're seeing for AI agents built on their Workers platform.
Oh, yeah. They shared some pretty compelling examples.
They did. So they mentioned a financial services company that's using agents to perform due diligence on M&A targets.
Wow.
A startup that's using agents to review clinical trial results, and a customer support company that's using agents to provide their human agents with a more comprehensive view of their customers.
So it's really about automating tasks, improving efficiency, making better decisions.
Yeah, all of those things.
Yeah.
And Cloudflare is right at the forefront of this trend.
They are.
Yeah.
And Matt Hedberg also asked about the impact of those pool of funds deals on their revenue.
Right.
He wanted to understand how those deals affect revenue recognition and whether they're creating any accounting complexities.
Yeah, that's a fair question.
It is.
So they acknowledge that those pool of funds deals can impact the timing of revenue recognition,
Okay.
but they're confident in their ability to convert these deals into recurring revenue over time.
Okay.
They've been refining their approach to these deals, including, adjusting their compensation and incentive structures to encourage customers to actually consume the credits that they've purchased.
So it sounds like they're taking steps to ensure that these deals are beneficial for both Cloudflare and their customers.
They are.
All right. So what was the next question?
The next one came from Adam Borg of Stifel, and he was particularly interested in the implications of Cloudflare's recent FedRAMP high authorization.
That's a significant milestone.
It is.
So for our listeners who might not be familiar with FedRAMP, can you just explain what that is and why it's such a big deal for Cloudflare?
Yeah, so FedRAMP stands for the Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program, and it's a government-wide program that provides a standardized approach to security assessment authorization and continuous monitoring for cloud products and services.
Okay.
And FedRAMP High is the highest level of authorization,
Okay.
which means that Cloudflare solutions meet the very stringent security requirements of U.S. federal agencies that handle highly sensitive data.
So essentially it opens up a whole new market for them.
It does.
Giving them access to government agencies that were previously out of reach.
Exactly.
And what I thought was interesting is that they were able to achieve this authorization without compromising their network architecture.
Right. They didn't want to create a separate gov cloud that would fragment their network and create a less consistent experience for their customers.
Right. So they were able to meet those FedRAMP high requirements while still preserving the integrity of their global network.
They were.
Which is really impressive.
It is.
And Adam Borg also asked about, the overall growth of their government business, both in the U.S. and internationally.
He did.
So what did they share about that?
So they highlighted the growing list of U.S. federal agencies that are using their services, as well as their work with international organizations like NATO. So it seems like their government business is thriving both domestically and abroad.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
governments around the world are facing, increasingly sophisticated cyber threats.
Right.
And they need partners that they can trust to secure their critical infrastructure.
They do.
And it seems like Cloudflare is becoming that trusted partner.
They are.
All right, so moving on, what was the next question?
So the next question came from Jonathan Ho of William Blair, and he was curious about which product categories were really standing out in terms of performance.
Okay.
Were there any specific products or services that were driving outsized growth?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So Cloudflare really emphasized that their large customers are increasingly buying into their platform approach, opting for those pool of funds contracts that give them access to a wide range of products.
Right, so it's less about individual products and more about the value of the platform as a whole.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
But they did highlight continued excitement around their developer platform, which is being driven by the growing adoption of Workers and Workers AI.
Right, we talked about that earlier.
We did.
And it seems like, that's really becoming a key differentiator for them.
It is giving them a competitive edge in attracting and retaining developers who are building the next generation of applications.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, so what was the next question?
So the next question came from Fatima Boulani of Citi, and she was curious about how Cloudflare plans to balance their strong momentum and pool of funds deals with their efforts to expand their appeal to the mass market, particularly in areas like developer services and zero trust.
Right, so it's about balancing the needs of large enterprises with the needs of smaller businesses. How do you serve both effectively without one cannibalizing the other?
It's a challenge.
It is.
So Cloudflare emphasized the importance of their go-to-market transformation efforts, which are being led by Mark Anderson.
Okay.
And they're really focused on assigning territories, strategically ensuring fair compensation structures, and shifting to a revenue-based compensation model for account executives.
So they're really incentivizing their sales team to focus on building long-term customer relationships and driving consumption of the platform rather than just chasing those quick deals.
Right.
And they're also continuing to invest in hiring and developing their sales team, particularly in the enterprise segment.
They are.
So it sounds like they're taking a very balanced approach.
Yeah.
And making sure that they have the resources and the structure in place to serve both large and small customers effectively.
They are.
All right, so moving on, what was the next question?
So the next question came from Gabriela Borges of Goldman Sachs, and she was curious about how Cloudflare navigates the varying levels of AI adoption across different organizations, particularly when it comes to their workers platform.
Right, because AI adoption is still in its early stages, and companies are at different points in their AI journey.
They are. So Cloudflare explained that they've been very successful with a bottoms-up approach,
Okay.
allowing, small teams to easily experiment with workers in AI without a lot of friction. So their self-service model makes it really easy to get started without a significant upfront investment.
Yeah, which lowers the barrier to entry
It does.
and allows more teams to kind of experiment with your technology.
Right. But at the same time, they're also becoming more strategic in targeting specific accounts where they see a strong fit for workers in AI.
Okay.
So they're using data to identify the right opportunities
Makes sense.
and build a library of case studies to really showcase the value of their platform to different types of customers.
So they're being very proactive about it.
They are.
All right, what was the next question?
So the next question came from Trevor Walsh of Citizens JMP, and he was interested in Cloudflare's focus on agents within the context of AI.
Okay.
And specifically, he wanted to know what differentiates workers as a platform for building and running those agents.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of platforms out there that claim to be good for AI development.
Right.
So what makes Workers unique?
So they highlighted two key differentiators, cost effectiveness and ease of use.
Okay.
So their serverless model allows developers to pay only for the processing power that they use,
Right.
which eliminates the need to provision and manage dedicated infrastructure.
Makes sense.
And this makes it much more affordable to run those AI inference tasks and build those complex agentic workflows.
So it's all about removing the friction and making it as easy as possible for developers to get started with AI.
Exactly.
And did they provide any specific numbers to back up their claims?
They did.
Okay.
So they shared that they're achieving peak GPU utilization rates of around 70% compared to the single-digit averages that you see for traditional models.
That's a huge difference.
It is.
And Trevor Walsh also asked about the types of companies that are building agents on Workers.
Yeah, he wanted to know if it was mostly startups or if they're seeing larger enterprises using the platform as well.
Right, because that's a good indicator of the maturity and the adoption of the platform.
It is.
So what did they say?
So they actually shared examples of both startups and large enterprises using Workers to build agents for a variety of use cases spanning finance, medicine, customer support, marketing, and even their own internal operations.
Okay, so it sounds like they're seeing adoption across the board.
They are.
Okay, so what was the last question?
So the final question came from Andrew Nowinski of Wells Fargo, and he was interested in the competitive landscape for Cloudflare's SASE solutions.
Yeah, the CC market is definitely heating up.
It is.
It seems like every security vendor is jumping on the bandwagon.
They are.
So how does Cloudflare differentiate themselves in that crowded market?
So they acknowledge that the market is definitely transitioning to zero trust.
Yeah.
But they believe that they have a competitive advantage because of their focus on performance comprehensiveness and ROI.
Okay.
So they're not just offering current solutions, they're providing a complete SaaS platform that covers all the bases.
And their global network and their unified architecture give them a performance edge that's hard to beat.
It is.
And they also mentioned that they're winning deals from both greenfield opportunities and competitive displacements.
Right.
So they're attracting new customers who are building their security infrastructure from scratch.
Right.
But they're also winning over customers who are dissatisfied with their existing SaaS providers.
Yeah, they're displacing those first-generation zero trust vendors who haven't kept pace with innovation.
Right. So they're offering a very compelling value proposition.
They are.
And it's clearly resonating with customers.
It is.
So, okay, that's a lot of information to cover. I think it's helpful to maybe take a step back and summarize what we've learned from this earnings call.
I agree.
So, Cloudflare, they had an impressive quarter, delivering strong financial results and showcasing their leadership in these key growth areas like AI and security.
Right.
They're executing well on their strategy,
Yes,
and they seem very well positioned for continued success.
they do.
So now it's time for our favorite segment, This is not financial advice, where we explore an outrageous but plausible trade idea.
I am ready.
All right, hit me with your wildest idea.
Okay, so what if Cloudflare partners with a major media company, let's say someone like Disney,
Oh, yeah.
with their massive content library and their global reach to create an AI-powered content platform built entirely on workers?
Okay, I like where this is going.
Right.
Tell me more.
So imagine a platform where creators from all over the world can upload their work videos, music articles, you name it, and get paid directly based on how much engagement their content receives. So no more gatekeepers, no more algorithms that are burying your work, just pure, unfiltered access to a global audience.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
Right.
But where does the AI come into play?
So that's where it gets really interesting. Imagine using AI to hyper-personalize the content experience for every user.
Okay.
So you could have AI-powered agents that are curating personalized recommendations, translating content on the fly, even creating interactive experiences that are tailored to your specific interests.
So you're talking about a completely personalized content experience powered by AI running on Cloudflare's global network.
Exactly.
Wow.
And with Cloudflare's focus on efficiency and security, you could build a platform that's incredibly powerful, but also very cost-effective. So creators get paid fairly, users get amazing content tailored to their tastes, and Cloudflare becomes the backbone of the next generation internet.
Boom, mic drop.
That would be a game changer.
It would.
It's a bold vision, but it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility.
It's not.
It plays to both Cloudflare's strengths and this growing trend towards personalized content experiences. So it's a win-win for everyone involved. Though we should probably add the disclaimer that this is not financial advice.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
But it is fun to think about the possibilities, right?
It is.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Cloudflare's earnings call.
It's been a pleasure.
They're a company that's clearly pushing the boundaries of technology and shaping the future of the internet.
They are.
So be sure to check back for more insightful analysis of the companies and technologies that are changing the world.
I am ready.
All right, hit me with your wildest idea.
Okay, so what if Cloudflare partners with a major media company, let's say someone like Disney,
Okay.
with their massive content library and their global reach to create an AI-powered content platform built entirely on workers?
Okay. I like where this is going. Tell me more.
So imagine a platform where creators from all over the world can upload their work videos, music articles, you name it, and get paid directly based on how much engagement their content receives. So no more gatekeepers, no more algorithms that are burying your work, just pure unfiltered access to a global audience.
Okay, I'm with you so far. But where does the AI come into play?
So that's where it gets really interesting. Imagine using AI to hyper-personalize the content experience for every user. So you could have AI-powered agents that are curating personalized recommendations, translating content on the fly, even creating interactive experiences that are tailored to your specific interests.
So you're talking about a completely personalized content experience powered by AI running on Cloudflare's global network.
Exactly. And with Cloudflare's focus on efficiency and security, you could build a platform that's incredibly powerful, but also very cost-effective.
Yeah.
So creators get paid fairly, users get amazing content tailored to their tastes, and Cloudflare becomes the backbone of the next generation internet.
Boom, mic drop.
That would be a game changer.
It would.
It's a bold vision, but it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility.
It's not.
It plays to both Cloudflare's strengths and this growing trend towards personalized content experiences. So it's a win-win for everyone involved. Though we should probably add the disclaimer that this is not financial advice.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
But it is fun to think about the possibilities, right?
it is.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Cloudflare's earnings call.
Oh,
They're a company that's clearly pushing the boundaries of technology and shaping the future of the internet.
they are.
Be sure to check back for more insightful analysis of the companies and technologies that are changing the world.
Absolutely. It's been great talking with you.
Likewise. Thanks everyone for listening.